Hello and welcome back to the Checkpoint Reach podcast. This is a new series of ours that we're trying out. It's going to be a top 5 list, basically covering different games, different consoles. Basically a gaming list of our favourite things within the industry. And I'm joined by Sud and Perks. How you doing, guys?
Very good, yeah. Looking forward to this new series that we're doing. Should be interesting.
Yeah, we thought we'd expand our wings, didn't we? So we'll probably
Yeah.
do these once every 2 weeks. How you doing, Perks?
Not too bad. New series, new me.
Yeah, the
How's that
classic. The classic.
Get it in when you can.
Yeah, definitely. Well, as the title suggests, we're going to be talking about PlayStation 1 games today. We have actually... We comprised our own list, didn't we? Our own top 5, and then we basically compared. And as a result, we ranked the games that got the most votes, I guess, or appeared on the list the most times.
Yeah,
We
we
will-
collaborated together, didn't we?
Yeah,
You know,
and we
we've
will
decided
stress this is our favourite games, not
Yeah.
the best games.
that's an important note to make because I know a lot of people get mad when you say these are the best games, but the fact that we're kind of saying that they are good games, but they're our favourite games. You know, there might be games that are better that we haven't played or we don't know much about, but we haven't included those because it wouldn't be very fair, would it? Really?
No, it wouldn't.
So
And we're going to jump straight into the list, and we're going to start with number 5, which is Castlevania. I believe this was your choice, Perks, because I actually haven't played Castlevania, and I know that's bad of me, but hey, younger Luke didn't want to play it.
Definitely missed out back in the day, I would say. It's coming in at our number 5 spot. It's probably the first sort of experience that I can remember in terms of a sort of side-scrolling action RPG type game, a platformer. It had kind of had everything sort of rolled into one, and for the early days when I first got into gaming, it's definitely something that sticks in my mind. And I think the fact that it's been re-released on so many different platforms, yeah, it deserves to make its way onto our list, and it's certainly something that I would champion.
yeah, I think I haven't played it much. I did play it a little bit. I remember back in the day, and you know, I remember people raving about it and saying it's amazing and stuff like that. So I don't think it quite grabbed me like that, but the game was very hard as well for its time, and we were only very young, so maybe that was another reason why it didn't grab me. But
Yeah.
you know, even objectively, you know, I know this isn't objective what we're doing, but even objectively, people say that this game is one of the greatest of all time. So it's no
Well,
surprise that
I was going to say it's probably be a lot higher on people's list than 5.
yeah, a lot of people would put it as 1 or 2, I think, in their PS1 list. So, but
And,
you know,
and yeah, only one of us put it on our actual
well, yeah,
list.
yeah, but it was quite high up your list, wasn't it, Bert? So that's why we decided it should be in the number 5 slot.
Yeah, averaged out. You guys
Yeah.
didn't, well, Luke didn't play it, you barely played it, and I played it a lot, so it found its way onto the list, but only just.
Yeah,
It did, and it slots straight in at number 5 for us. And moving on, number 4, we've actually got Driver. Now, this is a game that I loved as a kid. I was always playing
Yeah.
it. I couldn't tell you too much about the story if you asked
No.
younger me, because I didn't really do anything
No.
like that. I just
Well-
literally drove around and caused mayhem.
well, it's important to point out that it was me and you that had this on our list. I think you had it at number 3 or 4, was it? And I had it at number 4 as well, I think.
Yeah,
So-
we both
Or
had
number
it.
5.
You had it at 5, I had it at 4.
Yeah, so yeah, well, I just remember on that game, I remember, I think the first mission, I could never do it. It was so hard. Like, that first proper mission of the game was so hard
Oh, the
that I
checklist.
just used to not even bother doing that. And I used to just drive around.
It was meant to
just
be the
drive around.
tutorial, and it was hard.
Yeah, it was so hard.
It was
unbelievable.
so hard.
Are you suggesting
It
that
was-
you didn't ever do the first mission? You
I don't
got a
think I
game
did.
on the list in which you
Honestly.
didn't complete the first
Yeah,
part.
no, that
Hey, I'll
well, that
stress
goes
that's
to
Sud,
show-
not me.
Yeah,
well, you
true.
might have done it eventually, but I think that just goes to show how strange, what a strangely addictive game that was somehow. Just driving around the city and stuff like that was fun.
Yeah, it was.
It was
And
fun.
for some reason, the boring young me tried driving around like a normal citizen,
Yeah.
stopping at red lights. I don't
Stopping
know
at-
why I did that. I wasn't a fun child.
trying to make sure you didn't run into pedestrians, even though I don't think you could in that game.
No, I think you went through them,
But-
if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
How
Yeah.
times have changed.
How times have changed, and you didn't even have this on your list, Perks.
No, it didn't make my list. I do remember playing it back in the day, and I do remember it being quite difficult, like Sid alluded to before. It was kind of fun. I didn't mind it, but not my top 5.
No, to be honest, it only just scrapes my top 5. It's not a game I'd champion for, if you know what I mean, in terms of the greatest game. But
It's
it was
very
definitely
nostalgic.
fun, and it was a nostalgic game. Yeah, I think you look back at it now, and I think if we played it now, with most of these games, it's probably the same. But especially with a game like that, you'd look back and go, "How did I ever like this?"
I wonder how hard that tutorial would be now.
Probably not as hard. I don't think.
I'd hope not, but you never
Yeah.
know.
Although sometimes you think that, and you go back to these games, you think, actually, no, it was actually hard. So
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Well, we'll move on to number 3. After Driver comes in at number 4. So number 3, I think we all agreed on this. Abe's Odyssey.
Yeah.
A fantastic game.
that was a great game.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. It was what a fantastic game that was. I mean, everyone takes the mick out of them noises, but the actual game itself was a great game, like for its time. Its time, I mean, that was
what
technological. To be honest, even from a
Escape from
technology
Rupture
point of view, it
Farms?
was a fantastic achievement. Yeah, the the AI, the enemy, and everything was right up there for back in the day. So it was really fun. Yeah, you had to escape from Rupture Farms, and it was from these creatures called Sligs, wasn't it? I think they were called.
Yeah, I believe so.
The noises they used to make were so. It was quite a scary game as a kid. Yeah, it was quite scary. You're a 6, 7-year-old kid, and you've got these things like making weird noises and marching around, and
Yeah, it was brilliant.
There was nothing else like it, was there? I mean, it was so
great.
unique, not just in the crazy ass noises they made, but just everything about that game. Even sort of looking forward to the present day, we haven't really seen much like that. So
I mean, I remember when you first escape Rupture Farms, which is it's quite short actually. The start it only takes like 20 minutes, half an hour to get out, but even when you get out and it's like this world to explore, even in a 2D space, it was a fantastic game.
Yeah, it was really well done.
It was, and that game was really hard towards the middle and end sections. Like there were some very hard sections.
It was
the
too
first
hard
bit was
for 9-year-old me. I never completed it.
No, I don't think I ever completed it. I think I used to get to like maybe halfway in the game, 60% through the game, and then it was really tough. But
completed the remaster though that came out a few years ago.
Oh yeah, I played that remaster. Yeah,
it was good. It was good fun.
It was fun.
Well, we had it. Me and Sud had it as 3rd, and Perks, you had it coming in as 5th.
Yeah, 5th on my list.
I'm just glad it made your list.
Yeah, I mean, a game we all clearly look back on fondly.
Definitely.
So yeah.
Yeah. So there's Abe's Odyssey coming in at 3. Number 2. Now this is a bit contentious because we all agree that we love this series, and number 2 is Crash Bandicoot. However, Perks picked Crash Bandicoot 1, Sud picked number 2, and I picked number 3. So we're putting in the Insane Trilogy as number 2.
Well, yeah, not quite the Insane Trilogy of today, but
no,
the trilogy of yesteryear, I suppose.
Yeah, the older trilogy.
Yeah, I think that's the. A lot of people might think, oh, you're cheating putting 3 games in one, and I suppose we are, but there's no way we could decide really between the 3 because, to be honest, they all kind of play the same, don't they? There's not that much difference between them. There's slight differences aesthetically between the 3. There's slight differences in levels, things like that, but they kind of play the same, really. So, that franchise as a whole for its time, that's how Naughty Dog kind of got its name, wasn't it? From those original Crash Bandicoot games. If it wasn't for those original Crash Bandicoot games, Naughty Dog wouldn't be what it is today.
No.
So, I mean, I just really enjoyed them, and I think for me personally, the second one was my favourite one because I remember playing the first one, and again, a very tremendously hard game. The first one,
every game felt hard though when we were younger.
But
well, that's a recurring theme with our list, isn't it? We're saying how hard everything is.
But the second one for me was where it took off. Like the levels expanded, it became more varied. The levels and things like that. So that was my favourite one, and it was my first PS1 game. So that also helps.
I mean, Crash 1 was one of my first PS1 games. I don't think it was the first one, but it was definitely close to the beginning. And I remember everything about every level on that game. And for a platformer that's, all right, the levels aren't too long, but that just says it all to me. Like, it still sticks in my mind to this day. And that's not just because of the remaster they brought out. It's iconic, and it's definitely the game that I remember the most about from my childhood.
Well, it's important you say that about remembering the levels, because that's exactly how I feel about 2. I remember every single level on that game. Like, I might not know some of the names I might get wrong, but I'd know every level if I was in it. I'd remember what to do and stuff. Yeah. And that's how much I used to play that game, and I think that says it all really about
The story that comes
Oh.
to my mind from my childhood to do with Crash was, I don't know, this is UK listeners for, I guess. Do you remember the shop All Days?
Yeah.
I don't remember that shop actually.
Well, basically, they used to rent out games, so I rented Crash, and
Right.
I never took it back, and the chain closed, so I
you
got
got
to
to keep
keep it. Yeah,
Was that Crash 3?
yeah, it was. I'm a thief.
So that's your favourite one, isn't it? So
Yeah, that's
maybe
why.
that's one of the reasons.
Yeah, they can take me
Because
to
you got
court
away
now
with
if they want.
robbery. That's why.
Man, my fine for that
But,
late return would be a lot of money after all.
Would you
these
say that
years.
was the? Did you manage to play the other two though? At some point in the
Yeah, I played them all, but I
Yeah.
preferred number 3.
3.
It just stuck out to me the most. It was something I
Well-
really enjoyed.
From what I remember, 3 was the one where they started introducing like they had like jetpack levels, didn't they, and vehicle levels, and became a lot more varied in that one. I think
It really did.
it
So it was a great game. However,
was good.
let's move on to our top prize, which is, I mean, I guess it's a bit contentious at some games that we've left off the list, but I feel like this game most people would definitely have very high up as their top game, if not second, and it's Metal Gear Solid. How good was that game when you think back, Perks?
Easily the best game I played when I was younger, and I kind of echo what I say about Crash. I remember that game step for step, and it's iconic in its boss fights, whether it was Ocelot or Sniper Wolf, Psycho Mantis, it doesn't matter.
Grey
Every
Fox.
part of that game, is just so memorable, and it was so well done back in the day.
It really was.
Sure, if you look back now, you probably think, hey, this really hasn't stood the test of time very well, but that's not the point of this.
The story
list.
has, though.
For its time, the story, the boss fights, the progression of how it sort of sucks you in from the beginning and pulls you along with it. It had everything, and it couldn't not be number 1.
No, it couldn't. I wonder, I might be wrong with this. Was it the first ever double disc as well?
It's a good question. I can't confirm or deny that, but
Or was there more?
it would definitely
was there
have been
more?
one of the first.
Was there 4 discs? You know what? I think there might. Maybe there might have been 4 discs.
That was a thing, wasn't it, back in the day with certain games, especially PS. There was a lot of PS1 RPGs that had multiple discs. I'm not sure about Metal Gear Solid.
The hardware, obviously, couldn't cope, could it? It needed to be broken up.
It's an interesting one with Metal Gear Solid because I actually never played it, which is a miracle in itself. Because there's probably not many people that didn't play Metal Gear Solid on the PS1.
Living in the third
But,
world over there.
Maybe your mum did a good job and didn't let you play a game that was too obvious.
Maybe. I say
Whereas
that,
me
but
and
then
Perks were like,
well,
play
I'm
this.
not sure about that because with some of my games that'll be my honourable mentions, there's some in there that definitely I shouldn't have played when I was younger. But no, I don't know what happened there with Metal Gear. But obviously, I've said on the podcast before that this is why I want a remaster of the first one so much, because you all speak so glowingly about the first game, and it seems if they'd made a remaster treatment of that game, it could be absolutely something really special.
It's one of the greatest games of all time.
Exactly, and the sales potential of that game, a remaster is massive, and I'd love to play the first one, but I don't think I could go back now and play it with the weird, dodgy controls, and I think I'd find it very difficult to go back now to that game and play it on the PS1. So I'm hoping for a remaster, and I have no problems with it being number 1 as our list because you two speak so highly about it that I think it has to be number 1, really.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with us on it.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think too many people have complaints, would they, about Metal Gear being the number 1 choice.
No, I mean,
No.
everyone has a complaint out there, don't
Yeah.
they? Someone has to complain, but I think.
Do you know what,
Metal
though?
Gear
If
is a good
someone
one.
did think differently, I'd love to hear their ideas and thoughts on that, because
Absolutely.
just because we think it,
Well-
people may have it as trash. So
I was just trying to think of some games that we didn't actually. I was thinking a lot of people will say Final Fantasy VII. Now, that is a classic game that I haven't actually played, so that's why it wasn't anywhere near my list or on any of our lists, because I don't think any of us played it.
No.
So,
well, I strangely enough, out of anyone saying this, I did play it, but
okay.
my thoughts on JRPGs. They are my bottom of the pile games that I enjoy, and like, for as much as I can appreciate it as a game, when we're talking about our favorite games rather than how good the games are,
Well, that's it.
then it just couldn't make the list. But hey, that's not to say it wasn't a great game.
Yeah, and we should really move it on to our honourable mentions as well. A couple of other games that we did enjoy, and they just unfortunately didn't make the list or the overall list. There was only one of my games actually that didn't make the overall list.
It's a fix.
It is a fix, I guess. Or I've got good taste.
It's a
Or
fix.
we've got
I'd say the
similar
former.
taste.
It was a fix.
Well, either way, the only one that didn't make it from mine was Road Rash. Great game. Race on motorbikes, pick up a crowbar and knock someone's head off alongside you. Great game.
Yeah, it's another game I've heard a lot of people talk about, but never actually got the chance to play it myself.
Well, you missed out. How about you two? What are your honourable mentions?
Well, one for me is, it was actually my number one choice. Would be Crash Team Racing. And the reason for that is, as a kid, I could not put that game down. I would, come home from school, like primary school, whatever, and play it, or I adored that game so much. Like, it was so fun. I loved everything about it. I loved the mechanics, the driving. I loved how the game looked for its time, which was great. The way it played, the characters, the story, even the story in the campaign was really good for a Crash game. So I love that game. You two did play Crash Team Racing, didn't you? I think a little bit.
It's another one that I
loved it.
Yeah,
yep.
Great game. It was definitely in there for me.
Yeah, definitely. How about you, Perks? What's your honourable mention?
I'll throw Resident Evil 2 in there, and not just because it's current and because of how good the remaster is, or the remake even.
Jumper.
Yeah, but you know what? Not just Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 1 and 3. You could bundle Resident Evil in there together.
Yeah,
you
could have any of them.
Completely unique and so different to anything that was on the market at the current time, and that's the reason it took everything by storm. So, has to be mentioned.
I'd just like to add as well, another honourable mention for me is Grand Theft Auto, the original, and Grand Theft Auto 2, because without those games, we wouldn't see the phenomenon that we see today. So they have to be in there. They'd have to be in the honourable mentions for me.
Just the phone calls that stick out for me.
Yeah, it was. But those games were really fun. I think I actually preferred GTA 2, but they were both fantastic games for their time. Obviously the limitations of the hardware didn't help with them, but
they did a
without
good job
those
of
games,
what they had at
without those
their
games,
disposal.
we wouldn't even know what Grand Theft Auto is. So we've got everything to thank them for.
That we do, and that'll be a nice place to wrap it up. That's our top 5 PS1 games, our favourite games from Checkpoint Reached. We'd like to hear what your list is. What games have we missed out that you would have on your list? Let us know in the comments. Anyway, thanks for joining us, Perks and Sud.
Thank you.
Your contribution.
Pleasure as always.
Yeah, it was fun. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye guys.